Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. All free citizens, mayday, mayday, mayday. All that can hear. America has been overthrown. Repeat, America has been overthrown. Communist occupation. Repeat, heavy communist occupation. Location 15 degrees, 2415 north, 30 degrees east, 103. Repeat, 15 degrees, 2415 north, 30 degrees east, 10, 3, 2050. They were surrounded. We're surrounded. All comms are unsecure. Repeat, all comms are unsecure. The media has been taken over. Repeat, emergency. Mayday, mayday. All media has been taken over. Request information. Repeat, request information. Find Covert Radio. Repeat, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, Tango. Repeat, Covert Radio. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
This is Covert Radio, and I am Covert Radio. This is fearlessly unapologetic talk radio. And we got an army you can see, and an army you don't know nothing about. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Pan, 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 pan. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Listen to me, please, guys. We're in trouble, and if we do not take action, it's over. It is over. Every day, this is getting worse. Every day. They're moving at lightning speed. And if you're not paying attention, which I don't blame you if you're not, because I want to be entertained too. I want to laugh. I want to be numbed out by whatever bread and circus they're offering up. And there's so much of it. But if you're paying attention to the movement of the agenda and the tyranny and the chipping away, not even chipping anymore, it's just flushing our rights. And, they're hitting... This is like shock and awe. This is a blitz. They're blitzing. Every play is a blitz. And they're just compounding. And, like me right now, I'm not kidding you. I have probably 75 windows open on my broadcast system that I will never get to. And this happens every week. I have, I'm going to talk about this. I want to show you guys that. I definitely got to talk about that. Did you guys see this? And I save it and ingest more and save it and ingest more. And then I'm like, okay, so I'll this is one show. This is another show. This is another show. And I'm just, hey, by the way, I have a feeling that somebody listening to my voice hit the lottery. Now, how would I know that? Please make a donation to Covert Radio. Become a Patreon, or just make a one-time donation through Patreon to allow me to continue to do this. Really, I need to do this daily. I need to do about an hour a day. And I'm just going to get right to it. If we don't take action, it's over, guys. I'm telling you, hour by hour, it's getting worse. The good part about this is, though, and I mean, again, you got to look for it because they'll never show you this on a mass scale. But there's a lot of good people, black and white, that are starting to speak up. But, kind of it is selfish, especially in Chicago, because they just approved Brandon Johnson, he black. He just approved $51 million for immigrants who are already getting free vouchers for food, free pocket money. They're getting money to be, listen to me, in New York, they're being put up in entire 4-star hotels. You, as a citizen, you cannot go into the hotel. They have armed security from what I saw. If you're even near the media or have a camera, you won't even get into the doorway. The entire building is being leased out by the government. See, this is the other thing about what's happening, this invasion. There's no transparency. And the people that are making money, again, off of something else we know nothing about, they're not explaining what's happening. There are entire hotels being rented out with taxpayer money. Every room is $400 a day that's being paid for by you and I for these people to come here, and they keep saying they're here to work. What jobs? What jobs? So, are you talking about the jobs that you keep lowering the American living standards lower and lower and keep continuously pushing us into debt slavery deeper and deeper? Because the income gap is so tremendous now that you cannot work these menial jobs and live. So what jobs are they coming here for? And how is that going to drive down the already shitty wages that we have? But there is a lot of good people speaking up. This is so true, what I'm going to tell you. Silence is compliance. And it only allows these people, the last bastion of people who basically still have to pretend they listen to us because they're terrified to have their fancy pants and lollies taken away from them. And I'm talking about the senators. I'm talking about the representatives. They're the last ones that we can talk to and basically threaten. And what I mean by that is if you don't do what we're asking, we will replace you with somebody who will. You work for us. You do not work for these tyrants. And then in their mind, they're like, oh, well, geez, you don't know what they have blackmailed me with. I was in a hotel room with a 16-year-old prostitute, and I didn't know she was 16, but they got me all on video. Now I surely can't lose my wife and my family. She'll take me for over half of everything, and I'll definitely lose my fancy pants and my lollies. I will not be a senator or a congressman anymore, and I work for you, wink, wink. I work for you, wink, wink. But the reality is they're all compromised. See, that's why that's another thing I don't think a lot of normal people can understand. How come when Trump was in office and he walked real slow down the ramp, all of the media said we got to have his mental faculties checked. We got to immediately get him in. And just walking slow down a ramp, that might be grounds for impeachment. Biden can fall continuously, mumble incoherently, and people are still like, well, what if that was Trump? What do you mean, what if? While you say what if, that buys them another day, another week, another month. The what if is no longer relevant at all. Get off of the what ifs. What if that was Trump? What if that was Ron DeSantis? That's the game. Start holding them accountable. And again, I'm going to make it, I've done this before, but along with the things I already do put in my description, I'm going to start adding these two links. I'll show you here in a moment. I'm going to start adding these two links to every single Covert Radio video. I'm going to make it so easy to take action. The reason for this video that I don't want to really include into a much longer video to get this lost, and I'm trying not to make this long, but I want you to understand what happened a couple days ago. The picture you see on the screen is a youth choir. This happened in the capital of the United States. This what I'm about to show you, I'm going to show you a clip, a video. This happened in the National Statuary Hall. And if you don't know where that is, every big building in Washington, D.C. is always, they always look small compared to the Capitol building. The Capitol building is I should have had a picture up for you guys. It's the massive building with the big dome on top. Like, any pictures you see of Washington, D.C., normally they use the Capitol building or the White House. So it is the massive, big, huge, pillared Capitol dome building. And the Statuary Hall is right past the big Capitol dome. It's right inside of the United States Capitol building. And I'm telling you this because you need to understand where this happened. This isn't in some state somewhere and it was a little assembly. No. This is the United States Capitol building. Right near the Capitol dome, or the big rotunda. The dome, but inside it's called the rotunda. And in Statuary Hall, which is where you see all these statues here, this was the actual place that the U.S. House of Representatives used to meet. This was designed off of old, again, which is, I've talked about this ad nauseum with the architecture and in everything we've pulled from the Romans, but this was all based off of Roman architecture. It's built like an amphitheater, statuary hall. But for almost 50, 60 years in the 1800s, or late 1800s, this was where the U.S. House of Representatives met. In this place that I'm about to show you. These are the kids. This is the choir, boys and girls. This is their leader right there. I want you to watch this video real quick. It was shot long ways, but I'll try to make it full screen here. Here we go. I want you to look right here. You see my mouse pointer on the screen. I can't. I think this is a man, a very short man, or it is a woman. I can't tell. It might be a woman. I'm not sure. But you could see she just hung up her phone. She is Capitol Police, okay? So she's been on the phone the entire time these kids started singing, or right about the time they started. So they're going to continue on now with the second verse or continuation of the Star Spangled Banner. So they're having a discussion right here. I believe these gentlemen here, or at least this guy here in the suit jacket, is with the choir, Capitol Police, and then this guy right here to the right is I believe an undercover Capitol Police. So here we go. So you notice the phone rings, they got the call, and now, boom, we're going to strike into action. Shut it down. Shut it down. Stop. Stop. These kids were stopped from singing the Star Spangled Banner inside of Statuary Hall, inside of the Capitol building of the United States of America. They weren't done with the Star Spangled Banner. They were stopped mid-song. This guy, Tyler O'Neill, he's the managing editor of the Daily Signal. He's been on Fox News, or he worked for Fox News, pjmedia.com. He's an author, husband, father, Eagle Scout. So this is his Twitter account. The Rushing Brook Children's Choir sang the national anthem. Or was it national anthem and then Star Spangled Banner? I don't know. In Statuary Hall, a Capitol Police officer stopped them mid-song. Then Capitol Police claim they didn't stop the choir. The choir director tells the whole story in my exclusive interview here. And I'm just going to read a couple tweets down through here. Here's what Capitol Police gave me in part. It reads, of course, because the singers in this situation were children, our officers were reasonable and allowed the children to finish their beautiful rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. The footage, however, contradicts this. And then there's some bullshit letter from the United States Capitol Police, the Gestapo, modern day SS. And then a couple days ago, on June 2nd, there's a quote here, that's a bold-faced lie. Mika Ray, who organized the trip, had told Tyler O'Neill for the article he wrote. You can clearly see in the video, they literally stopped him before they finished the Star Spangled Banner. The officer did everything she could to stop us and not let us continue singing, period. So it was a woman. This Gestapo tyrant in the back, this woman, I guess took it upon herself, or she had to call her upline, her sergeant or captain. We must stop these white supremacist terrorists from singing this Nazi-ridden, laden white supremacy, hateful rhetoric in our new communist dome. David Roshbach, the choir director, said the officer hand down very suddenly. The officer, her hand, I don't know, directing the staffer to go shut them down. Okay, so it was a staffer. Go shut them down. Children singing the national anthem in the Capitol is not a threat to anybody. This is the most unbelievable, but I'm not surprised, but it is unbelievable. It's just a footprint of where we are at, where we're going, and where people have been through history. The police are the foot soldiers of the tyrants and the communists and the Zionists. That's how it's always been. That's how it is now. And that's how it's going to be. So it's only going to be up to you and I to start making calls, sending emails, and demand that something be done about this. Because pretty soon, they're just going to keep pushing their tyranny in every single aspect of our life. And I don't think you really understand or have really collectively thought about all the ways that the police are already significantly policing us for the tyrants. Here's the article from the Daily Signal. Exclusive. Children's choir director responds after Capitol Police claim they did not stop kids singing the national anthem, while video proof shows that they did that exact thing. Footage shows a Capitol Police officer directing someone to interrupt a children's choir singing the national anthem in the U.S. Capitol. Yet, the police claimed that they did not stop the singing. And you can clearly see, she took it upon herself to make a call. She took it upon herself to blah, blah, blah. She got the call back and boom, shut it down, hurry, shut it down. For what? I was shocked. I was dismayed. I was stunned. David Roshbach, the founder and director of the Rushing Brook Children's Choir, told the Daily Signal of the incident, which took place on Friday, May 26th. I couldn't believe that was happening. That they would stop the national anthem of all songs. Roshbach spoke with the Daily Signal on Friday, June 2nd, describing the events of 1 week back. He said that he had secured permission from 3 congressional offices for the choir to sing in the Capitol. He said South Carolina Republican Representative William Timmons and Joe Wilson had provided documents giving permission, has had the office of House Speaker Kevin McCarthy of California. So those are 3 people you can start with and demand something be done to this tyrant, lunatic police officer and whoever gave the Gestapo commands. I'm not kidding with you. If we allow this shit to keep happening and nobody says anything about it except some crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist, listen, you have no idea what they're doing right now unless you're paying attention. Because I'm telling you immediately what's happening in the last, say, 72, maybe 80, 90 hours. If you don't agree with the communist overthrow of America, then you will be labeled a terrorist. If you don't agree and go along with the communist overthrow, if you don't agree with this invasion of America, again, for supposedly jobs that don't exist. I don't know where these jobs are at, but if you don't agree with it, if you have a problem with it, you're going to be labeled as a terrorist. If you're black, they can't label you as a white supremacist, but if you're white, they will label you as a white supremacist and a terrorist. If you're black, you'll just be labeled a terrorist. They're even labeling South Americans, some that are speaking up against this. You know, people who have immigrated legally here and it took them years, they're labeling them as white supremacists. If you want to keep your constitutional rights, or, you know, you believe that the constitutional rights need to be protected, you're going to be labeled a terrorist. If you disagree with all the, you know, the demoralization of men with pornography, with women, and all these, you know, shows that promote infidelity and, you know, breaking up marriages, breaking up homes, God, Jesus, like the stuff they're doing to our kids is just off the chart. And if you don't have kids, you don't know unless you're paying attention. The family unit, everything. It's all, if you have a problem with it, like what's going on at Target, then you're going to be labeled a terrorist. Listen to me, and I've been saying this for 7 years. I hope you're ready for war. We've been at war. We've been at war with China, with fentanyl. We've been at war with China from pushing all these South Americans up. We've been at war for a long time, for several years. Since 2020, essentially, is when it really kicked off. And number 2 is coming right around the bend. All through history, always and forever, the police were dumbed down, and then they were brought into positions of power. Instant power, unearned power, untrained power. They were brought from literal nothingness most of the time. And really, a lot of it is based on psychological tricks. They have tricks for men, they have tricks for women, and they can somehow, they seem to be able to zone right in on the pulse of men and women who blindly hunger for power. And once they get it, it's like, it's the most hardcore narcotic on the planet. The controllers are going to make sure that they're going to be able to continue their terrorism. And they've done that through the laws. And I talked greatly about this, look on the channel, dealing with Tyre Nichols. And the last video I covered qualified immunity, which has protected all of these lunatic, dumb cops like this. Let's see, I'm trying to stop swearing. Like this female officer in the Capitol. Lunatic dum-dums. Power-hungry idiot dolts. Qualified immunity protects them. There's no accountability. There's no nothing. Just like the cops that beat Tyre Nichols to death in the street. They've charged. They're going to be charged. There's going to be a dog and pony show. And then it's just going to trickle off. You're not going to hear much because they're going to be saved by qualified immunity. Bring them to heel, right? Watch that video. These cops have become extremely violent. They have thug mentalities. They're low IQ dum-dums. Idiots. And a lot of areas, they're being shielded to continue this war zone approach. Stomping around like it's a war zone, threatening people in neighborhoods like they're militant combatants. instead of a constitutionally protected citizen, just like a bunch of children singing the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner. 2 different songs, maybe. I didn't listen to all of it. But some low IQ, power-hungry, dumb woman decided, no, you don't have the right to do that because I say so. Let me ask you something. Did you ever notice that most cops are under 5'7", 5'8"? This is part of it. This is part of that blind power. This is how the controllers are able to do this. It's a psychological trick. This is on purpose. Napoleon syndrome is very real. And I've talked about this on Covert Radio because I have a few friends who absolutely have Napoleon syndrome. 100%. It's destroyed their entire lives. It's mitigated who their friends are. It's mitigated how they've navigated life, where they work, who they married, how they raise their kids. All of it has been affected by their short stature. My one friend who's Italian is like 5'4". Little guy, little man. And he suffers from massive, almost debilitating at times, feelings of insignificance. And he's overcompensated in so many different ways. It's ruined his marriage. I know it's hurt his children psychologically. And it's the same thing for these dumb cops. That's why they keep lowering the standards. Because the power of being a police officer for these guys, it's more addicting than any narcotic on the planet. You could take heroin, fentanyl, ISO, and nicotine and alcoholism, bundle them up into one pill, and it still will not be as powerful as a little short man being given the power that a police officer has. Being able to hold anybody's life he encounters in his hand. Do you understand the trust that we blindly give police? And who do we give that trust to hire them? See what I mean? You're asleep. Wake up. And it's the same for women, just like this woman in the Capitol Dome here. Where's she at? Right back here. Here she is. Let's go. Let's find a nice. There she is, right back here. What happened, honey, huh? What happened? Daddy was a drunk. You hate men now? Is that what happened? Because believe me, all through history, when possible, women made terrific recruits for tyrants. Really, years ago, it was their private army that women were a part of. It wasn't so much out in the front, out in the open. There's several reasons for that, but a lot of women become police because they hate men, or they believe that they have the equal power and strength of men. And there's so many hundreds of thousands of videos of women police getting their asses handed them by a guy half their size. Like, whatever the reason, they've been in a submissive, male-dominated state. That's how they grew up with brothers or whatever. They grew up in a male submissive state. Their brothers pushing them around. I mean, whatever, that. And I don't want to make this long, but that's like what I believe Trump derangement syndrome actually stems from. These liberal lunatics, these lazy millennials and the Gen Z Zoomers, which I'm going to show you something here in a moment. What happens, I think, is they see daddy in Trump, or they see that overbearing coach or the gym coach, or, they see that overbearing teacher or the uncle or, the grandpap. They all see that in Trump. It echoes in their head. And it brings back all these feelings of insignificance. You know what I mean? That you weren't, and I was just glancing around my office. I have a poster of The Sopranos on my wall, and it just reminded me of Tony Soprano. Any Soprano fans here? Any? How about you in the back? Any Soprano fans in the crowd? Yeah. So, oh yeah, The Sopranos. I binge watch it at least once or twice a year, all 6 seasons. But just like Tony Soprano, Uncle Junior, his uncle, he had a dig. And Tony was a big guy, so it wasn't a Napoleon thing. But that was covered in the series a few times. But Uncle Junior would say something to Tony every once in a while that would cause him to go into this like insanely angry and instant, like uncontrollable rage. And it was as simple as this. Uncle Junior every once in a while would say to Tony, oh yeah, well, you never had the makings of a varsity athlete. Or he'd say, yeah, your hands were too small. You never had the makings of a varsity athlete. And in one episode, they were talking about something, and Uncle Junior was like, well, when you missed that fly ball, and I mean, it was like a Bronco little, pony league baseball game or something like 40 years ago. And Uncle Junior brings it up to Tony and was like, when you dropped that fly ball or when you missed that fly, it was something like, he's like, I've never been so embarrassed. I couldn't face my friends for like a week. So it's just these constant digs. And I think honestly, that's what Trump derangement syndrome is. That's where it stems from. There's been some male in these people's lives that didn't allow them to be waste or immoral or pieces of shit or lazy. I mean, they didn't allow them to be snowflakes. They weren't okay with them being the new trend. Whatever these communists and Zionists shoved down their throats this week to identify as, and sit back and laugh at how much control they have over your kid's mind. These men in these snowflakes' lives never allowed that, just like Uncle Junior. He was ashamed of Tony because he never had the makings of a varsity athlete, and it hurt him his entire life. Speaking of these lazy millennials and entitled, Zoomers and Gen Z and all that shit, did you guys see the newest communist, Zionist trend that's being pushed down our kids' throats? Did you see this? Here, let me show you something. This is the New York Post. Okay? This is the hot self-care trend. It's called bed rotting. This was May the 29th, a few days ago. Why bed rotting is the newest hot self-care trend for lazy Gen Zers. Now I'm going to hit play on this, but I'm not going to use the volume that much. Let me see. Here, let me see if I can read this. Yeah, let's do that. I love rotting in bed all day. It's my passion, my hobby. Parents ask how college is going when they should be asking how the rotting is going. It's going great. Heartbreaking. Poor girl has to get out of the soft, warm bed even though she is so comfy. A new Generation Z trend called bed rotting is going viral on communist TikTok. This is a point of view, and I'm an influencer, and I have merch coming up of my bed rotting. I'm trending so hard on Instagram. I can't. bed rotting after school. It involves staying in bed for long hours outside of bedtime, of course. Let's see here. Who bought your laptop? Who bought your pillows? Who bought these things on your walls? Who bought these posters? Who bought this nightstand? Who bought the bed, the mattress, the box springs, the frame? Who bought your comforter? Who bought the shirt you're wearing? Who paid for the glasses? Who bought the nails that's holding up your dream catcher that you didn't buy? And that ivy vine, the fake vine going across your headboard that you did not buy? How's the bed rotting going? Hey, let's ask your mom and dad how it's going, because they're terrified that you're not trending. Fans claim it can be a great way to reclaim both. See what I mean about the inversion? The communists just sit back and laugh. By bed rotting, you're going to physically get stronger and your mental health will be better by bed rotting. Okay? You understand? This is the New York Post. This isn't some lunatic liberal. Well, it is, but you know what I mean? This isn't some offshoot. This is what's hot right now. No. What are you talking about? I'm trending so hard right now. I've been laying here for 18 hours. Mom, did you get the buca de pepo? I'm hungry. Who's going to answer the door when my Instacart order gets here off the credit card that's in my parents' name? I'm trending so hard. Ugh. Okay? That's what the communists, that's the control they have. You're going to yell at your kids to get out of bed, and then there's 2024 more Trump derangement syndrome, because Trump also, I guarantee you, is not a fan of bed rotting. You see how that works? And pretty soon, you're going to be a terrorist, and you're going to be put on a watch list, if not imprisoned, because you're speaking out against the new trend that the communist overlord tyrants is telling you is the hot thing in their New York Post, right? Police have always done the bidding of the tyrants. Let me get this lunacy off the screen. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a moment. We're going to put the kids back up here. The police have always done the bidding of the tyrants and the controllers. The police are the mindless, faceless. They're the bitches of the NWO. You know what I'm saying? Again, they've been handed this ego spike. They've been handed this drug. It's a spiking mental health narcotic called power. This is something they've never had before. And I've talked endlessly about Stalin and the USSR. I've talked endlessly about Hitler and the Nazis. Guess what? Both of them used the police to get their agendas pushed through. It always goes back to the police. That's why we have to stop as much as we can now. Stalin created an entire totalitarian state using pure terror from the police. On Covert Radio, on every video, I talk about the Gulag Archipelago. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was put in prison by the police, by Stalin's police. And just so you don't, if you don't know, totalitarianism is total control. It's a political system of total control in which the state, the communists, they hold total authority over everything. They control all aspects, everything, in your private life whenever they possibly can. Like having cameras on every other pole, watching where you go. Now they're talking about 15-minute cities where they don't want people traveling more than, like, they want full control to ensure obedience. And the police are always enabled with satanic levels of control and power, with the full ability to murder, kill, and maim people and trample on any constitutional right they see fit, just to keep the fear going. The censorship, the purging of people who dare sing the Star-Spangled Banner or the national anthem in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Who dare do that? Stalin killed over 7 million people. Stalin put over 25 million people in labor camps, in the gulags. And like on all my videos, how we burned in the camps, later thinking, what would things have been like if every security operative, every cop, when he went out at night to make an arrest, whoever was newly put on the list, because they believed that you still have a constitutional right. So now you're a terrorist and the police will come and arrest you. Stay calm. Oh, so you have a problem with all these immigrants? You must be a terrorist. Please stay in your home. The police will be there shortly. You must need re-educated so you understand why the country is allowing 20,000 people to walk across the border every day. You're a terrorist. What do you think this is all going to just stop? You think it's all just going to go away? It's just getting really started. All forms of police of the Nazis, the SS, the SA, the Gestapo, they all spied on the Germans. They all wanted to identify potential political opponents against Hitler, people who dissented on the control of Hitler and the Nazi parties. And they went and arrested people in mass and then asked questions later. You had no rights. What do you think everything we have in the United States is based on? And again, the drug of power is more sufficient to these people than anything. I'm going to give you another example of how insane police are. This is the mentality of somebody who has Napoleon syndrome. I want you to watch this real quick. And I want to tell this guy, go be a cop, buddy. Because just join your ranks. Join all the other Oompa Loompas out there who are 5'2". They talk like this, but they got a big gun and a badge, and they'll kill you and your family and everybody in the minivan for you disobeying their authority. Look at how Napoleon syndrome causes psychosis. Watch this.
Degrade women. Why is that okay?
Why is it okay for women to say, oh, you're 5 feet on dating sites? You should be dead? That's okay?
Who said that to you here? Nobody.
Women in general have said it on dating sites. You think I'm making that shit up? Yeah. Everywhere I go, I get the same fucking smirk with the biting lip. Shut your mouth. You're not God or my father or my boss. Dude, you want to step outside? You want to step outside? Huh? I'm not scared of you, pal.
I'm not.
You shut up, too.
You shut the fuck up.
Go ahead and attack me, Jake.
Oh my god. I just wanted bagels. I recorded the whole thing.
Oh, and a guy 3 times my size.
Him's just a little guy. I want you to start paying attention to the police. How tall is this woman here? Look at these little kids. What is he, 10 years old? I mean, how long has this lunatic been bottling this? How long? And I want you to start paying attention to the size of police. Because just to refresh your memory about something, okay? And again, I look on the channel. I'm not going to get all into the Russians or the Nazis and how they used the police, the Gestapo, the SS, the stormtroopers, the elite guard. I mean, it's all, and it's, I mean, we can talk about Mao. We can talk about any of them. But just to bring you up to recently, how dangerously close we are on that exact same trajectory, I want you to remember something. The fact, this is a fact, and it's going to happen again very, very, very soon. I'm going to say this one last time. They are taking the internet down. It'll be September, October, but they're now again ramping up grid attacks, the power grid's going down, grid attacks. So just get ready. How do we explain this? Okay. And this, if there isn't one marionette controlling all this, one massive Zionist communist conclave, the mono party, whatever you want to call it. How is it possible that all around the world, in Australia, even now, still today in Australia, parts of Australia, the UK, the United States, it was France, Belgium, Austria, I mean, name it, especially Canada. I could go on and on and on and on. The police were not required to inject something that everybody else was told to get injected with. The police were not required to do that, and they were not fired for refusing that order. And they kept their jobs, and they were still lined up for, demonstration after demonstration, the riots, the people who started saying enough is enough, or you could talk about the U.S. in the summer of not riots, the peaceful BLM and Antifa, not riots, not burning down police stations, not taking over city blocks, not causing billions and billions of dollars of property damage, which is still continuing, not robbing massive stores to the point where they basically are pulling out of major cities now because it's never really stopped. So how weren't they fired for refusing? Or how weren't they not told that they are all... Nurses had to, but for some reason, that's odd, the police didn't. Wow, the military had to, but the police didn't. And even if it was suggested that they do, they still weren't fired. That should tell you everything you need to know to understand who's going to be slitting your throat, who's going to be marching you out of your house in cuffs for re-education or a trip to the private prison or a trip to the U.S. gulag. You need to contact your House representative and your senator and demand that this tyrant right here, this woman on the screen, be taken care of reprimanded, fired, whatever the case is. And we need to start doing this on a continual basis. I'm going to show you something that's going to be easier for you now than it's ever been, okay? Look at your screen. Every one of Covert Radio's videos from here on out are going to include these two links. It can't be simpler than this. Okay. This is the congressional district maps, okay? GovTrack. I'll link this in the description. It's as simple as this. You see this map? Do you live in the United States? Watch, okay? So let's see here. You can zoom in. I'm not sure how it works on your phone, but if you want to stretch it out or how it's very simple, let's see here. Let's say you live in Kansas. We'll go right in the middle. So here's the state of Kansas. Can you guys see that? I'm using my little, here, we'll blow it up even more. So here's KS1. This is District 1. Here's District 2. Here's District 3. And here's District 4. Okay? Here's Missouri. Missouri 5. Missouri 4. Here's Oklahoma. Oklahoma 3. District 3. You see what I mean? So if you know where you live in the state, which you should, but let's say you live right over in here somewhere on the map in Texas. Well, if you don't know your district, you look on this map now. You do. So you just click right here. This is the House of Representatives for Kansas 1st Congressional District. Your representative is Tracy Mann, who is a Republican. Okay? Very simple. What, do you live in Texas? Are you in Texas 13 maybe? Let's look. There's a lot of districts in Texas because of the population. Maybe you live down here in Galveston, maybe way out in the Gulf somewhere. Here's Galveston, so right down here. You're part of, here's Galveston Island, right there. That's Galveston. Or maybe up here a little bit. Where's Houston? Let me look. I don't know. Yeah. Galveston's down here somewhere. It's one of these islands here. One of these stretches of islands. Yeah, I think it's right here. Yeah, it's Galveston's right here. Right here. There we go. Ooh, it's a tricky one here because look at this. It's a little bit outlined. But anyway, Galveston is what? Texas 27th District, 27th Congressional. So you click here. Who's your rep? Michael Cloud. Michael is a Republican. So let's go to more. Let's click more. That will take you right here. Oh, there's your 27th Congressional District. There it is again on the map. It's outlined it for you. Here's Michael Cloud. Here's his website. Here's his phone number. You can get in touch with him very simply by just following here. I'm sure you can email him from his website. He's your representative in the House. Okay? And then if you want to contact the senators in Texas, you can go right here and go for the official website. There's Senator Ted Cruz. Or I got another website here that's broken down just for the senators. Maybe you're in Utah. Well, let's click on that. Who's the senators for Utah? Look, Mitt Romney and Mike Lee. There we go. Very simple. You can see the committee assignments they're involved in, and there's their phone number. There's their contact links right there. It cannot be any more simpler than this. I'll put 3. So here's your district map. Maybe you just want to look at the map and you're like, I don't want to click on it. But let's see here. I'm going to go up to Nebraska. Nebraska looks pretty easy. Here's Nebraska. Do I live in this section, which is District 3? Do I live in this little section by Omaha, which is Nebraska 2, District 2, or 1? Which one do I live in? So you just want to look at that. Okay, I don't want to click on this map. I'm going to go to this website, Covert Radio, that you're going to link in the description. I live way up here. So that's NE3. That's District 3 for Nebraska. Let's go. Alphabetical order, all the states. Or you can use this. I'm going to click on N for Nebraska. What did we say? The 3rd district right here? Well, here's your Republican House Representative, Adrian Smith. That's what office they're in. Here is their phone number. Here is their committee assignments. Okay? It cannot be much simpler than that, guys, okay? If we don't start standing up, and I'm talking about don't stand up, you have to make your voice heard. And it's happening. But you still have to play the game because it is still happening where the congressmen and, the senators and House of Representatives are still wink, wink working for the people. They don't want to lose their cushy jobs. They don't want to lose them. We have to hold them accountable. Call them, call your district and say what happened on May the 29th with the children choir. I want you to do something about that cop that made the Capitol policeman that made those kids quit singing. I want an investigation done, and I want to know why their constitutional rights were trampled on. I want to know why. And you can email me back. Here's my email, or give me a call and leave me a message. Thank you. And that's that. I'm Covert Radio. This is unapologetic, fearlessly unapologetic talk radio. And for the person listening to me that recently hit the lottery, listen, how would I know that other than God? How would I possibly know that? Make a donation to Covert Radio, and it can be completely anonymous, or we can talk in depth. You want to do a show? Do you need media? What do you need? Just ask. Email me. This is Fearlessly Unapologetic Talk Radio. You guys take care. Have a good day.